Welcome to the Silver Screen Project, where we look back at a series of films in anticipation of an exciting new cinema release.
In preparation for the brand new Marvel film Doctor Strange and the Multiverse of Madness, we've gone back and looked at some classic Doctor Strange stories. First looking at the 2016 film, and today looking at the fourth episode of Marvel's What If series, What If Doctor Strange Lost His Heart Instead of His Hands?
Yes.
What did you think of it, Sam?
I think that it is one of the better What If episodes. It does some interesting things with the characters and has kind of an interesting ending there.
I wrote down the same thing. It's one of the better What Ifs. And I like the approach they took.
Yeah.
I think What If was a bit hit and miss.
I would agree, yeah.
I think I thought it was going to be better than it was, but this is definitely one of the better episodes, I felt.
Yeah, I think it's got a lot of potential, and a lot of them retread, especially the first episode, retreads a lot of the story that it's kind of based on.
Yeah.
Whereas this one, it skips through a lot of that stuff, which we spoke about in the last Silver Screen Project quite quickly, which is quite nice.
Yeah, it very soon gets to the kind of break in the timeline.
Yes.
And although it does repeat that for a while, it is fresh and not just retreading the same steps.
And it's clear that it is, if you kind of get into the nitty gritty, which we will do, it's clear that it's in a different universe in its start kind of thing, because the fact that Christine Palmer is with him on that night is different immediately, kind of thing, which kind of sets it apart there. And I also really like some of the visuals. I think it's some of the better stuff in What If again.
I think in general, I quite like the What If animation style.
Yeah.
Kind of, mostly the characters look like their film equivalent.
Yeah, I mean, apart from Rachel McAdams' character, who just looks like a woman.
Yeah. But like, Doctor Strange does look like Benedict Cumberbatch.
Yeah.
But it also adds to, as we kind of said last time round about how the visuals were really good in Doctor Strange. It does have some moments in this where it kind of shows off its animation ability and has some cool visual stuff. They've kind of got a bit more freedom to do so because it's animated, and they really do make the most of it.
Especially kind of some of the creature designs and stuff like that, which, you know, that scene there, which we'll talk about, is kind of the stuff I really like. And the introduction of who I've dubbed Darktor Strange, I think is really good. And part of the reason we're covering this is that this person may or may not be showing up in something else from what we've seen.
Yes, Obi-Wan. Yeah, I thought the story is interesting. It's very sad.
Yes.
And kind of shows a man falling apart. But it is like an interesting story of if you have got somebody who has like unlimited power or the potential to have unlimited power, and you take away what they care about most, what they can do. And it builds on that kind of arrogant, horrible side of Doctor Strange that we've seen in the films and been like, what if you really push this man down a dark path?
Yeah. And some of the Doctor Strange we see early on in this is somehow even more obnoxious as the early Doctor Strange in the film. And I think Benedict Cumberbatch, who does come back to voice this, does a very good job of that, despite the fact that he doesn't always sound like the same character. I don't know what that is.
Yeah,
maybe he's just moved on from that point of recording kind of thing.
It was made several years later. He'd appeared as Doctor Strange several times since the first film.
And I think him going back to that early snarky Doctor Strange, slightly different, but hey-oh, it doesn't really take away from it.
Yeah, but it really, like in the first one, we saw the flaws this character has, and it really kind of blows them up as like this is, and eventually splits him into two personalities, one that is all the worst parts of this character.
Very yin-yang kind of thing, isn't it? Yeah.
And it was great. I thought it was fun seeing like the potential that this character has in terms of power.
Yes.
Like he does go down a route where he becomes the most powerful version of himself possible.
Yeah. And even when he's absorbing all the creatures, I mean, to take away a little bit, that scene there, I think, is my favorite part, where you see all these creature designs. There's some cool kind of slightly horror kind of trippy moments there. And the animation is really good, and there's some kind of gorgeous shots there. And then we see, as he gets more powerful, as you say, he notices the Watcher, which is, I think, the first time in this series that happens. And it's a foreshadowing of kind of where things go there.
In the first 3 episodes, we see the Watcher watching, but he's like us, watching things unfold.
Yeah.
But because he's become so powerful, he's aware of the Watcher. which we didn't think was possible.
And it's that power level thing. It's the demonstration of, like you say, how powerful he's got at that point.
Yeah.
And then he carries on because apparently he's been doing it for centuries, I think we find out. Yeah,
which is quite interesting to see. I didn't think it was flawless. There was some bits towards the end, evil Darktor Strange
yes.
fights good Doctor Strange.
I think he has got a name. I think it's like Strange Supreme or something like that. But
and when they're fighting, some of it is visually good.
Yes.
But they do the thing that I praised the film are not doing, of shooting lasers at each other.
Yes, and it's a lot of them doing the same thing against each other, like you say. It's this kind of Harry Potter style kind of magic. It's two Ghostbusters shooting at each other.
Yeah, sometimes it's good. The moment when evil Doctor Strange opens his eyes and mouth and
all
shoots
of that,
lasers.
and then the same sucking moment, the sucking moment that he does,
But there's bits where they resorted to the lasers, and I was like, oh, you didn't need to do that. But overall it's good. One other thing that I thought on rewatch I noticed more is that there's certain very convenient plot elements.
Yeah, a lot of the way it evolves in the second to third part of the film is episode is just doesn't make any sense, really.
And like, the Ancient One can actually come back for this because
and even the whole so she basically, things have gone wrong in the future because Doctor Strange was stuck for centuries.
Yeah.
And then she goes, I split them in two. And because he did bad stuff, that ruined the universe. Maybe you splitting him in two and having two in the same timeline has something to do with that.
And having one that is pure evil.
Yeah, like...
But like things like that, the Ancient One coming back and being able to split a person in two is magical elements that we haven't been introduced with, and are just... You kind of have to suspend your disbelief to go along with.
Yeah, it's magic at the end of the day, And there's certain things with the whole repeated death thing that like we see Wong cast the protective spell on Doctor Strange at the end, which seemingly protects him from all harm to a point. Maybe go back and put that on Christine and see. And there's also the fact that apparently it's a fixed point and he wouldn't have defeated Dormammu without it, despite the fact that the main MCU Doctor Strange did. I understand that it's because it's a different universe, but it's a flawed logic to be trying to force on us.
You really have to just kind of believe.
You really do.
I did like the whole seeing the deaths over and over from different things, really showing the different things. But as you said, it's you have to believe a set of rules for this universe that you weren't previously aware of. Yeah,
and it's a lot, and I think What If is a lot of that. It unloads the kind of the space-time law reality stuff quite quickly because they're shorter episodes. And some of it works better than others, and I think this was trying to set a certain tone for things. But generally speaking, I think it was a very good episode.
It's a fun time. I don't have any trivia for it because it was an episode. A lot of it was talking about various characters that look like characters from other things.
And I think a couple of things. The tentacle monster that comes out, I think people referred it to Shumagorath, and I think from certain trailers there appears to be some sort of tentacle monster in the new film, so that may be something that returns.
I saw one of the trivia on IMDb said that the tentacle monster looked a lot like the depiction of Smaug in the 1967 Hobbit film. And Benedict Cumberbatch voice smelled in the newer Hobbit film.
So Smaug has tentacles in there.
I guess I haven't seen it, but I think that's a bit of a tenuous link.
I think so.
But this does seem to be must-watch viewing for the new film that's coming out.
So again, we could do a little spoiler here. In one of the very early teasers, we see a character who looks quite a lot like this Darktor Strange in this. That was the reason why. It was
the trailer that was the post-credit scene in Spider-Man, wasn't it?
Right,
so it was hard to avoid.
The first teaser kind of thing. So
it seems like they're bringing that character back, which will be interesting because
it opens the door to the animated series.
And also because, as we mentioned, he's a super powerful version of Doctor Strange.
That's right.
How will the MCU Strange be able to deal with a power that's strong? Although at the end he he's not as evil because he
No.
realizes his mistake.
And I think also we do see him in a later episode. He helps out, but whether that's the same one that we'll see, it's all
it's kind of hard to tell what his characterization is going to be.
I imagine
in the film.
if we do see main Doctor Strange defeat this character, it will be in a very convenient kind of plot way, maybe to do with love or something like that, you know.
And I'm also quite intrigued seeing the mix of that and a character from the first film in Baron Mordo.
Who we discussed in the last Silver Screen
because
project.
as we mentioned, I like Chiwetel Ejiofor. I'd like to see him do more. And it'd be quite interesting to see how that character has developed because it's been 6 years since we last saw him.
Yeah.
How did he deal with the
blip? And I think, more in their world because of that. Yeah. So that's it's very interesting. So maybe we can do a couple of Multiverse of Madness predictions going into the next episode.
Because we've also got Wanda.
We have
Scarlet Witch appearing, who has also recently dealt with weird magical TV stuff.
So maybe we should have watched all the WandaVision episodes for Silver Screen Project.
I don't think we'd have time for that.
I would like to rewatch WandaVision, but I just don't feel that I have the time. Really.
Yeah, same.
But yeah, if you got any off the cuff kind of predictions there, we can see how they match up next episode.
I think it's going to be good. It'll be nice revisiting the characters. Nice, as we mentioned, revisiting this magical world. And because they're doing a whole multiverse stuff, obviously it's going to be building off Spider-Man.
Yeah, and we will very likely see some cameos. I think they'll probably go down the route of Spider-Man No Way Home and bring back maybe some characters that aren't, some actors that aren't playing those characters anymore. Maybe some Fox kind of stuff. I think there's been rumors of
because
that kind
when
of
you do a
thing.
multiverse film, you've got kind of freedom to do a lot. But aside from plot elements, I'm also looking forward to seeing the visual side as well. Because 2016 Doctor Strange was such a stand-up visually. Hopefully they can respark that.
And with Sam Raimi at the helm as well, they can tap into his kind of horror elements from Evil Dead and films like that, Drag Me to Hell, and do some kind of horrific stuff within their kind of reason as an MCU family-friendly film.
It's really got potential to kind of be anything it wants to be, so I'm quite looking forward to it.
I think as the first proper kind of multiverse film, because, you know, as you said, No Way Home opened the gate there, almost literally, and this one should be exploring different dimensions. It'll be interesting where things end up at the end, and I think we probably can't predict that really, but it could open, you know, I think at one point we discussed WandaVision might bring the X-Men into the MCU, and I think this really could be the one that does that, or at least hints at it in some way. I think at the end
this film will really give us an inkling as to what this next phase of Marvel films are going to be, because since the Infinity Saga, we haven't quite had a clear direction. Though I'm not saying the film's bad, they're great, but not like some ultimate end goal like a Thanos.
And I think some people have criticised that, although it's nice to have that breather and almost be back to a neutral kind of stage. It does feel a little bit more directionless than we're used to from the MCU.
But I feel like this could be the stepping stone towards that.
Yeah, I do think as well. I do reckon, based on kind of some of the posters I've seen, sign of the place that Wanda is at the moment, I've got a feeling that she'll either be some sort of villainous character in this, or will end up in that way, because we haven't really had her proper turn as a villainous character, and that's one of the things, House of M, that sort of thing, which we kind of got in WandaVision. I wouldn't be surprised if they at least explore that in this film coming up here. And that would be really interesting to see, because Elizabeth Olsen is fantastic as that character.
So that is What If Doctor Strange. I'm not going to do the whole time, so again, you look at me expectantly. So I'll ask you what I ask you every time as to whether or not this makes you more or less hyped for Doctor Strange, Multiverse of Madness, Project or Proj No?
Yeah, I would say Project again, especially some of those threads that might carry on through, and also just generally getting back in touch with Doctor Strange. Seeing where this character could go and all that sort of stuff. Very excited. Magical stuff as well.
I'd also say Project. Probably not quite as much as the film.
No.
But I still was like, and I think this will probably play on this episode as much as the film, because Doctor Strange has done so much since the film.
Yeah.
It will almost become a bit irrelevant aside from the Baron Mordo stuff.
It. And this is his biggest solo thing since his film, really.
Yeah.
You know, probably the most screen time if you count it as that. Yeah.
So yeah, I'm very much looking forward to it. And you can hear our thoughts on Doctor Strange Multiverse of Madness next time round. It probably won't be out long after this episode.
Yeah, not at all, yeah.
So thank you for joining us. Let us know what you thought of the What If episode and how hyped you are for Doctor Strange, the Multiverse of Madness. It's been a pleasure having you here.
Thank you for listening.
And goodbye.
Goodbye.